Dark Phoenix has entered the contest. Let's break her down. Yeah, so Dark Phoenix has entered the contest with her Nova Flame, Power Gain, Unstoppable, Incinerate, and a bunch of other utility that's going to get on your nerves when you're playing Battlegrounds, but we'll get into that. First, we got to discuss her combo. What is her combo like? Her combo? Not bad. I didn't have a bad time playing with her at all. She seemed real easy to play. She seemed a lot easier to play than the regular Phoenix that was recently buffed. And the damage also really great. Like, with all the buffs she gets and that safeguard, she kind of reminds me a little bit like of Jean Grey. I feel like they're kind of similar, but yet they're very much different. So I liked her heavy. The spacing wasn't bad. Her power gain was also really nice. That root on the SP2 that you're seeing right here, also really nice. She has so much utility in her bag, and I can understand why Kabam put such a high price tag on her. This champ is going to be, I feel like she's going to be an instant ban in Battlegrounds, but you know, we'll get to all of that. First, I want to discuss her strengths. What are her strengths like? Well, one of the strengths are her buffs that stick. If you pacify or stagger or neutralize her buffs, they're going to come back as passive. And you're going to need a specific counter. And that Unstoppable Power Gain, her SP1, very annoying. Number two is Safeguard. She has something like Jean Grey, her kit, where it takes majority of the damage. And that the damage cap on block hits is just great. Another strength, she has Nova Flame. Like, Torch is not the only one in the contest anymore that can do Nova Flame. So yeah, look out for that. Also, she's kind of a stall threat because when she throws her SP1, you really can't hit into her, and she still gains power. So you're gonna be taking damage from that Nova Flame. Like, she's gonna be a Battlegrounds annoyance. And she also has armor up control when you pair her with Iron Fist, so she can take armor up from armor champions. Not gonna help you in Battlegrounds, but in questing can be useful. But she does have weaknesses. One of her weaknesses is Astrophy. Any passive Astrophy will stop her buffs from happening, and trust me, you're gonna need a champ like Kindred to counter her in Battlegrounds. As you can see there, that wasn't even a problem. Also, she's not poison immune, and she doesn't really do well with damage over time effects anyway, but with poison, you reduce the duration of the Nova Flame, so poison champs will be really good against her. And any node that can just remove buffs, like the node here, is gonna really hinder her damage. Again, not gonna help you in Battlegrounds, but in question, could be beneficial, I guess. Also, she's not really good with Fate Seal. Any champ that can inflict Fate Seal like Hood here is gonna be really good against her. So I suggest you rank up Hood right now. And also, she's not really good against energy resistant champs. Champs that have high energy resistance like Havoc here makes her kind of like a noodle. So yeah, keep that in mind. She does have a few immunities. I believe she has 3. One of her immunities is she's Incinerate immune. You can incinerate her. But I also think that applies to the other Nova Flame in the contest. She's also Nova Flame immune. So bam, you got a counter for Nova Flame, and she inflicts Nova Flame, so kind of a win-win. Also, she's Power Drain immune. You cannot Power Drain her, so you know, that's not bad. You can still Power Steal her, I believe, but you can't Power Drain her. Now, what is she like Awakened? Now, my opinion, I didn't think she needed to be Awakened. As a defender, she gains a Phoenix Rising charge at 5 Embers charges. At the start of the fight, lower the health threshold on the safeguard by 60%, and when immortal, special attacks are passively unblockable. So again, I didn't think she necessarily needed the Awakening, but if you do Awaken her, I do think you want her high Sig for the safeguard. But other than that, I think she's pretty much fine as is. If you wanted to just play her at Sig 1 or Sig, 20 or 200, it's up to you. I think if I were to pay to get her, because that's the only way you can get her right now, I believe, I think I will put some 6 stones on her, because I think she's going to be a Battlegrounds monster, and you're going to need definitely a specific counter for her. But other than that, I think she's fine on Awaken. I don't think I will use a generic Awakening gem on her, but anyway, if you get her after paying the 36,000 units, you dupe her anyway, so it's kind of beneficial. But yeah, her prestige is 27,880, so I think she has, the 3rd or 4th highest prestige in the game, I believe. Surfer's out of there. What are her defensive counters? Now, she does have a few defensive counters. I think Mojo, really good counter for her, because any champion that can reduce the duration of her buffs is going to do really well against her. Also, Kindred's really good because it's Astrophy. Also, Hood with his Fate Seal. Basically, anyone that can inflict atrophy, reduce the duration of her buffs, or has Fate Seal. And also, she doesn't do well with damage over time effects. So as you can see right here, I'm blitzing her down with Archangel. She doesn't have poison immune or bleed immune, anything of that nature. So keep that in mind. Also, if you wanted to, you know, blitz her in Battlegrounds, I'm using Okoye here. And as you can see, I'm just melting her. Again, it's high risk, high reward, but as you can see, we're cutting through her because Dark Phoenix just doesn't do well with damage over time effects. So keep that in mind. And still, she's going to be a tricky defender because that root on the SP2 and that power gain in the soft one SP1, but you can melt her with those damage over time effects. Now, the stat focus I'll recommend for her is offensive and defensive critical rating and block penetration. I personally was thinking about the special for her, but I feel like, you know, the critical rating and block penetration on the SP2 can really be beneficial, especially when, you know, you're fighting an AI and AI just wants to block the whole time. You still can do some really great damage, so keep that in mind. Now, the relics I'll recommend for her are the Thor relic and the Gamora relic. Both benefit the Fury effect in Phoenix's kit, but it doesn't really benefit much else, so keep that in mind when you're playing her. I thought Thor was better in my opinion, but you know. Let's discuss Masteries. What Masteries would I recommend? I think she was going to be really good with Glass Cannon, and I also think she would be really good with the damage Masteries because if you were to knock her out, she does gain an immortality charge that allows her to passively regenerate. But I don't know if she's the ideal champion for Masteries, but you know, experiment, let me know in the comments below. Now, what are my overall thoughts on her? Well, overall, I do really like her, but she does have some cons that I don't know if I can get over. But let's talk about her pros first. I think she has great utility. I think she's going to be an amazing defender for Battlegrounds. I think she's perfectly fine on Awakened, and there aren't many champions in the game that are a good counter for her. So if you don't have a direct counter for her, you're definitely going to struggle in Battlegrounds. The cons is she has no counter to damage over time effects. Don't get me wrong, the Phoenix Force can help her regenerate, but you know, she's not really good with damage over time effects. But again, not many champions in the game are. One thing I don't like about her is her price tag. In the Heart of Fire event, she's priced at 36,000 units. And I feel like that's really expensive for the average summoner and a lot of free-to-play players. And that kind of makes her a trophy champion. And after the Heart of Fire event is over, I don't know when we're going to see this champion again, or if she'll be priced at 36,000 units again in the future. So yeah, those are my two biggest cons, and she kind of needs high sig if you want to take advantage of that safeguard ability in her awakened ability. But other than that, I think she's a great champion. I still don't think she's worth the 36,000 unit price tag. I just don't think she is, and I don't know when we're going to see this champion again. Those are my biggest two complaints. If I had her, I would rank her up, but I'm not paying the 36,000 units for her. But again, that's me. I'm not a whale, so leave a comment below if you willed and got this champion. But again, overall, I think she's a solid champion. I think Kabam did a really good job with her. I'm just not a fan of the price tag for her. So yeah, but other than that, I hope you enjoyed this breakdown video. So yeah, if you could hit that like and sub button, I appreciate it. And I'm gonna catch y'all in the next one. Y'all take care. Have a great and wonderful day.